Today we're doing another budget overview for the paycheck that I received on February 5th. Hi, I'm Kumiko from the Budget Moms. Come along with me as I strive to live a life I love on a budget that I can afford. Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. Today we're doing another full budget overview for the paycheck that I received on February 5th. Now my budget overviews are very, very detailed. I bring you into every part of my budget. I show you the real numbers. We're going to be also stuffing my cash envelopes for my regular cash envelopes for my variable expenses, as well as stuffing my envelopes for my sinking funds. So it's really important to remember when you're watching these budget overviews to know that I am a paycheck budgeter. The bills that you're seeing today are only the bills that I'm paying for my first paycheck of the month, February 5th. Same with my sinking funds and my cash envelopes. But it's also really important to remember that I use the budget by paycheck method. It incorporates a couple of different methods all kind of squished into one. It's the calendar method, the cash envelope method, and of course the paycheck method. But I want you to know that just because my budget looks like this and my numbers look like this, your budget should not be the same. And in fact, your budget should be completely unique. It's probably one of the most personal things that you will ever create. So I don't want you to feel like your categories have to match mine, or even that your process needs to be the same. I'm hoping by that sharing my real numbers and these budget overviews, you know the steps and processes that I'm using to run a successful budget in my everyday life. So let me show you my full budget overview for my paycheck I received on February 5th. I try sharing my story to remind readers that there is a way out. That with hard work, dedication, determination, motivation, it's all about having a plan for your money. And that's what gives you the true control. Holy crap, it just changed my life. You're like, oh man, Nico, it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes work. But no more credit card debt. With every first budget of the month, I make sure that my monthly budget calendar is all created. Now this is where the calendar budget or calendar method comes into play in my budget. I have a calendar for every single month that lists all of my bills, all of my holidays and events, and all of my appointments. It's essentially a reminder for me to what to include in my budgets for the month of February. It's every single expense that I have going on for the entire month. Now, because I am a paycheck budgeter, and to explain the calendar method very quickly, I budget my money when I get paid, which means I decide what bills I need to pay with every single paycheck. So the paycheck that I received on February 5th, I'm paying all the different bills that are in blue. My paycheck on the 20th, I am paying all the bills that are in pink. Now it's also important to know that I pay some bills in March with my last paycheck of the month, which is on February 20th. So if you come to my March calendar, you'll see that these are also bills that I'm paying with my paycheck on the 20th, and that's why these are highlighted in pink. So that's essentially how I organize what bills I'm going to pay with what paycheck. I have my appointments that are highlighted in purple, and I have any holidays highlighted in yellow. I use what's called the highlighter method for my calendar budget, and all throughout my budget, I use the highlighter method as a visual way for me to quickly see what's going on with my finances at any time. So with my paycheck on February 5th, I use what's called a paycheck bill tracker. And with my income for the month of February, I had a couple of different sources for my income. One is my business paycheck. So I own my own business. I get a paycheck from my business once a month, as well as I work a full-time job as well. And I had a paycheck on February 5th from my day job income. So my income, my total income that I'm working with for my budget on February 5th is $5,174. Now, this month or this paycheck is a little bit unique in the fact that I will not continue to have two sources of income like I am with this paycheck, because I do plan on leaving my full-time day job to run my business full time. So in the future, I will only be getting one paycheck a month, which would be my business paycheck. So for the month of February, on February 5th, for this paycheck, and remember, we're only dealing with one paycheck, I am paying these bills. Now, your monthly bills are considered fixed expenses. They don't change from month to month. In fact, they pretty much are regular. They stay the same from month to month. It's those bills that you pay like clockwork that you have to pay. They're your necessity bills. So I have my phone. Anytime you see AF savings in my budget, it's my vacation savings. I put a small amount into a vacation savings account. I have Netflix. I have a checking account cushion, and I'll come back to what this is in a second. Hulu, my daycare, and a Vista. Now, it's important to also remember that with my daycare, Grandma watches my son during the day while I'm at work. So I only have to pay her $100 every month to compensate for like food and gas expenses. A Vista is my utilities. I am budgeting a little bit higher this month just due to it being so cold outside. I know that my bill is going to rise a little bit. Now keep in mind, these are budgeted numbers. They're estimated numbers based on past spending. So on January 5th, I budgeted $125 for my Vista, but I saw it increase with my last paycheck in January to $199. And so I am budgeting and estimating $170 for my utility bills. For the bills that fluctuate from month to month, like your utilities, because it's based on obviously your usage, I always like to budget for the worst case scenario. What is the highest amount that you expect those bills to be? And that's what I budget for. My checking account cushion, every single one of my budgets for my paychecks is a zero-based budget, which means that every dollar of my income has a plan or is being used somewhere in my budget. Because of that, essentially, your checking account is going to get to zero. If every dollar of your income has a plan or is being used, that's what's going to happen. So when I started budgeting and implementing the zero-based paycheck budgets back around 2013 or so, I did not feel comfortable with my checking account getting down to zero. So I started what's called a checking account cushion. I literally put $40 from each paycheck and it just sits in my checking account. And that accomplishes a couple of different things. One, it's going to help with any bills that are higher than expected or an unplanned or unexpected bill altogether. It's going to save you from those overdraft fees. Another really important thing about the cushion is because I'm an all cash spender, which means I pay my bills online and then I pull the rest of my money out for cash spending. It makes sure that I have something in my checking account if I have to do an unexpected online purchase and I have to use my debit card. The checking account cushion is one of the most important things that I do within my budget, and it's saved me hundreds of times before in the past. But these are essentially my bills. My bills total $509 for this specific paycheck. If I subtract that from the income that I'm working with, I'm left with $4,665. Now that seems like a lot left over, but just keep in mind that this paycheck is very unique for me. I will not continue to have these double paychecks like I am now going on in the future. This will probably be one of the only ones where I had a business paycheck and my day job paycheck combined into one. So with the leftover money after I'm done paying my bills online, the $4,665, I then use that for my variable spending. And those are my cash envelopes. My cash envelopes for this paycheck, now I like to create and design new cash envelopes for every paycheck. It's just something fun that I've implemented into my budget. It makes budgeting exciting for me. It makes it fun. I like to create and design new things. So these are the envelopes that I'm using for my cash envelopes. Now I have 6 cash envelopes that I use for my cash spending or my variable expenses. Now you might be asking, what's the difference between your fixed expenses and your variable expenses? Your fixed expenses don't change from month to month. It's those monthly bills that happen like clockwork. But where a lot of people fail in their budget is their variable expenses, groceries, gas, clothing purchases, fun expenses, household expenses, those things that tend to fluctuate from month to month. That's really where the money, you ask yourself, well, where did that go? So mine is all done with cash spending to help me control my spending in these categories. So I use 6. I have food, beauty, fun, household, gas, and miscellaneous. These are the 6 cash envelopes that I use for every single budget. They do not change. So I've decided to do $200 this paycheck for groceries, $50 for fun, $75 for gas, $75 for beauty, $50 for miscellaneous, and $40 for household. So I used to have a pet cash envelope, but our guinea pig Penny just recently passed away, so I had to figure out, what do I want to use that money for that was going towards pet? What do I want that money to go towards now? And I decided to create now a household envelope, which will be used for cleaning supplies, paper towel, toilet paper, dishwash soap, those types of things. So that's what the new household envelope is for. All of these different variable spending cash envelopes equals $490. If I subtract that from the $4,665 that I had left over after paying my bills online, I'm now left with $4,175. So then the question becomes, anytime you have money left over after taking care of your bills and your variable spending, your cash envelopes, you need to ask yourself, what can I do with this extra income that will get me to my financial goals faster? What will make me feel at peace with my finances? Where I place this money in my budget, what is it going towards? So for me, I have sinking funds. And what that means essentially is I save a little bit each paycheck for specific things. Usually it's holidays and events, and my sinking funds envelopes look like this. Now these are in my free resource library if you are wanting to save for your sinking funds in envelopes like I do. But I am currently saving for 4th of July, my boyfriend's birthday, my son's birthday, Christmas, and back to school. Those are the holidays and events that I'm saving for a little bit each month, so I have my goal amount when those expenses are going to be coming into play in my budget. So for instance, 4th of July, I want to have saved by my last paycheck in June. And I have a goal for each one of these different sinking funds and how much I would like to spend for these expenses. So those are my sinking funds. I also have a car maintenance fund. It's a separate savings account at my credit union. I do $20 per paycheck for that. If you add up all of my sinking funds, it equals $111. If I subtract that from the income I had left over after paying my bills and taking care of my cash envelopes, I'm left with $4,064. So then you ask yourself, okay, my bills are taken care of, my cash spending is taken care of, I'm saving for all of those important holidays and events and future expenses with cash. What do I do now? It all comes down to your financial goals. For me, in January, I paid off my last remaining debt. I'm 100% debt free. So I have to really make sure that I have a plan for my money. And my next financial goal is saving to buy my first home with cash. So I have a separate savings account at my credit union for a house. I call it my house savings. The total money that I had left over after everything in my budget was $4,064, and every single cent that I have left over or that I save is going towards my house savings. Now with a zero-based budget, because every dollar of income has a plan in your budget, your income minus your expenses should equal 0. And I provide that formula right down here. Now the sheets that you're seeing in this tutorial is from my 2019 Budget by Paycheck workbook. The link to all of this is in the description of this video. But as you can see, my income minus my expenses equals 0, which is exactly the way that I want it to work out. So let's go ahead and start with my cash envelopes. When I get paid, the first thing I do is I pay my bills online. And then I run to the bank and I pull out cash for my envelopes. And what that looks like is I use a cash envelope breakdown. So essentially I write down all of my different cash envelopes and the sinking funds that I'm pulling out with cash. And I have that listed right here on my budget. It's these cash envelopes, which is my variable spending, and these envelopes right here. Now remember, my car maintenance fund and my house savings is a separate savings account at my bank. The rest of my sinking funds are saved in these envelopes, which I pull out cash for. So I have those written down in the amount that I want for each of those envelopes. This form or worksheet allows me to break down exactly what bills I need to stuff my envelopes. So for me, I like to start at the right and move to the left. Over the years, I've found that psychologically, it's a lot harder to spend bigger bills than it is smaller bills. And in fact, this strategy has allowed me to save more in my cash envelopes because it's a lot harder to hand someone a $50 bill than it is a $10 bill. And so I find myself at the end of my pay periods, the bigger bills are actually the bills I have left over in my cash envelopes. I didn't spend them because I'm spending all of the smaller bills first. So this is how the worksheet works. For groceries or food, I need $200. That means I need two $100 bills. Fun, I need $150. Gas, it's $75, so it'd be $150, $120, and $15, and you do that for all of your cash envelopes. Down here is a total to total up the number of bills for each denomination. And then down here is the total value of those bills. All together, my variable cash spending envelopes and my sinking funds equals $581. I have these little slips that you can cut out and bring to the teller. I just hand the teller these little slips and it breaks down what I need to pull out exactly. So let's go ahead and stuff my envelopes now. With groceries, so my food I use for eating out and grocery trips. So my food is $200, so I literally, now it's also, let me first mention, I had money left over in my cash envelopes from my last paycheck. What I do is I roll over a small amount into my new envelopes and I save the rest. So what does that look like? This is all the money all the cash that I was able to save from my cash envelopes from my last paycheck. I was able to save $205 from my last cash envelopes from my last pay period, but I did decide to roll some into my new cash envelopes. So when I do that, I have my budgeted amount for what I'm budgeting for my food envelope, which is $200, which you can see I have on my budget right here. But I rolled over $51 from my last paycheck's envelope. So my new budgeted amount, or the money that I have to spend for food, is now $251. So I already rolled over the $51 in this envelope, but I still need to add my budgeted amount of $200. So let's put that in there. This envelope is now done, and as you can see, last night me and my son, we had a pizza night, so I just go ahead and I track that on the envelope for my spending, and I'll put an updated balance here as well. So my food envelope is done. For fun, I have $50 that I need to budget for or spend. So with my fun envelope, I rolled over $20 from my last cash envelopes from my last paycheck. So I need to put $50 in here. For gas, I have $75 in cash, so I literally just pull out $75. And with my gas, I rolled over $7 from my last cash envelope, so that gives me a new balance of $82. And as you can see, here's the $7 that I rolled over. So now I just put in my budgeted amount of $75, so that envelope is done. Beauty, I'm budgeting $75, so let me pull out another $75. And I rolled over $20 from my last paycheck. So beauty is now done. Miscellaneous, I have $50, and I rolled over 12 from my last cash envelopes, which the 12, as you can see, is already in there. So we'll just put in what I budgeted for this paycheck in there. So I have a new balance of $62 for my miscellaneous. And then the last one I have is my household. I did not roll over anything from last time, so it's just what I budgeted for this paycheck, $40. So these envelopes are now done. All of my cash envelopes have been stuffed. It's what I have to use for this paycheck until I get paid again on February 20th. So for food, I have a balance of $251, but I have to minus the 20 because we had pizza night last night. Fun, I have $70 in cash to spend for that. I have $82 for gas, $95 for beauty, $62 for miscellaneous, and now I have $40 for my household. So these are all taken care of. So now I have to stuff my sinking funds. So 4th of July, I'm doing $8. Let me get a 5 here. So that just goes in there. And as you can see, I just keep my savings in there as I go. So I'm going to add $8 to that sinking fund. My boyfriend's birthday, we're doing $17 from this paycheck. Now I have one birthday envelope. It's for all the birthdays that I'm saving for. So I'm also saving $14 for my son's birthday with this paycheck. And they both go in there. Now, as you can see, I've been saving for these since January. So my first paycheck on January 5th, but it's for all of the birthdays that I'm saving for throughout the year. It gets put into this one envelope. Christmas, I'm doing $36. So there's $36. It goes into Christmas. I have a goal this year to do $800 for Christmas in cash. So that one's been stuffed. And then I have back to school, $16. Now, if you did everything right, you should be out of cash with your last envelope. So back to school. This is for clothing and school supplies for my son for next year. So that's done. So now all of my sinking funds have been stuffed. All of my cash envelopes have been stuffed. There's one more thing that I want to mention with this budget. I have Christmas cash that I received in a Christmas card. That's $20. And I also sold something on Facebook Marketplace for $30. So these are going to be added as income for this month. But what I do is I save all of this cash and deposit it into my checking account with my last paycheck of the month. So I literally any extra income that I can make through the month, I save it and deposit it into my checking account at the end of the month. So that's essentially how my budgets work. That's what I do for every single paycheck. Because I'm showing you every step, it seems kind of like it would take a long time, but really this is just 5 minutes when I get paid. I jump online, I pay my bills online, I go to get cash out for my envelopes that day, and then I stuff them, and that's pretty much it. Now, with these cash envelopes, I carry them in my Philo fax. I hole punch them and they sit in here. Now I don't carry all of my envelopes with me every single day. It's only the cash that I know I'm gonna need for that day. So I'll hole punch these and just carry those envelopes with me when I need them. So if you have any questions on this budget overview for my paycheck on February 5th, head over to TBM Family, which is my private Facebook group, and me and the members were in there answering questions, and we talk a lot about my daily videos and my budget overviews. So head on over there and I'm happy to help. If you found this video helpful, please share it and don't forget to subscribe.